Dear Hummingbird, I hope you are well. I am Ana from Efecto Colibri, the hummingbird effect in Spanish, and I am glad to bring you a new episode of Dear Friend, We Listen, a mini-series of single chapters where stories pushed to the margins return to the center. For us, listening is social innovation. It lights up the problems we aim to transform and helps move narratives toward a just, diverse, regenerative reality. Today, we open the space to Espoir, yes, hope, a young poet and storyteller born in the Democratic Republic of Congo and raised for years in the Saleka refugee camp in Malawi. Espoir reminds us that refugee is a label the world uses, but it is not a name. It doesn't hold a person's dreams, past, or potential. Between loss and reunion, he found language and poetry, a path to keep living, to turn pain into word, word into bridge, bridge into future. And perhaps this is the quiet revolution, that when and where you least expect it, there is the most hope, the deepest motivation, the fiercest will. Stay with us. This episode is not about what was taken from him, but about what Espoir chooses to create. Life named by hope.
What does the word refugee mean to me, and why I don't identify myself with that word? I would say, to the world, refugee is a label, okay, a way to categorize us, a way to identify us, but for me, it's not my name. It doesn't hold my dreams, my past, or my potential. It's just a word. I don't wake up in the morning feeling like a refugee. I wake up as a Espoir, a poet, a storyteller, a human being who has lived through storms but still sings, you know what I'm saying? Refugee focuses on where I came from, not where I'm going, and I'm going far. I carry hope, I carry a lot. I carry the voice with me, and none of that fits inside the word refugee. My name is Espoir Ketan. Yes, of course, a French name, which means hope in English. I'm 19 years old. I was born on 3rd February 2006, and I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is to say, I am a Congolese by nationality. Whenever I come across this word Congo, whenever I pronounce it out of my mouth, I feel bad because the love that I had towards that is almost gone right now. I mean, concerning my childhood and the idea of how do I feel to revisit my childhood, I would say my childhood was really short. Stalin, actually. We ate Bogali almost every day. Bogali, yeah. The majority of people from most African countries rely on this due to poverty. Sometimes beans. we ate beans sometimes. I mean, Bogali beans, sombe, ngai. I remember the smell of smoke from open fires my mother always used to cook with charcoal sometimes, and the mixture of several other things due to lack of enough charcoal. And regardless of the very bad smell caused by that system of cooking, I and my siblings could just surround her, gather, get some heat from the fires. She keeps on cooking Bogali, and we just enjoy sharing some nice stories like fairy tales, scary ones, of course. In the mornings, I'd open my eyes to the smoky scent of wood burning, the sound of my grandmother sweeping the yard. Sometimes I smelled fresh cassava frying, or beans cooking slowly in a very black pot. I was saying real black pot. And it's become so because it's been used for a long period of time. So I walked barefoot on reddish dirty path, feeling the earth's roughness under my feet. Not because I had no slippers to put on, but because the environment and the friends around me enjoyed doing that. You know, walking barefoot, no matter how harsh your parents could be. You see, there were tall trees lining the road to school, and if I was lucky, the wind would blow just right, brushing my face like what I can't describe. I'd hear the sounds of music banging from each side, and that's just in the morning. You know, modern days, music heard from different barbershops while climbing the mountain on my way to school, and that used to freshen my mood in the morning before I arrived to school. I'd hear the splash of water from the community tap. Yeah, Yeah, it was live. The sounds of music on my way heading to school, you know what I'm saying? I remember the sound of laughter during moonlit nights, people drumming, singing songs, traditional songs that carried history, pain, and pride at all once. But I also remember the other sounds, terrifying ones, gunshots slicing the silence, people screaming, mothers crying, and in between it all, silence. So the kind that follows after something terrible has happened, that silence, is the loudest. But music stayed with me. I still remember songs from home, even if softly, like a whisper to the past, is how I remember that I am more than what I survived. We lived in a small house. Very rural setting. I sometimes slept on the floor near my younger sister. Those hours of gunshots far off, crying, on the silence, and we kind of got used to that because it became like music. Couldn't pass a day before we hear something like and I remember putting some lines, some onomatopoeia lines in one of my poems. I said, from the ka the sound of a gun, by the ka our lives are done. From that poem of Africa. Many of refugees know that poem of mine. So I was born in a place called Sange in South Kivu, a region in the DRC that has rarely known peace, not peace at all. So where I come from, people don't just sleep with one eye open. No, they live that way. It's normal, if I can call it that, to hear gunshots every day. Yeah, you wake up and hear that someone you knew, a neighbor, a schoolmate, maybe even a friend, didn't make it through the night. You just wake up in the morning and find dead bodies, like your neighbor has died, you know what I'm saying? He or she died, yeah, last night. There's nothing apart from sorrowful faces gathering together, taking the dead bodies and go to bury them, and life goes on, you know what I'm saying? That's how it was. I grew up hearing the sound of war instead of birds. My father's name is Kabera Kaitani. My mother's name is Leah Mwabi. My grandmother's name is Tabo Mawazo, and my aunt's name is Nyota Vomelia. And so here is now the main reason why we're here. The main reason why we're called refugees. We're here now in the Dzaleka refugee camp. So, my aunt was married into a different tribe. Still Congolese, from the DRC, but not our own. After her husband died of sickness, his family turned on her. They blamed her side of the family for his death. It started with threats, saying, no, we're responsible for their son's death. My aunt's family responsible for their son's death. You know what I'm saying? Threatening ours with words saying they're going to revenge for that. But they said we were responsible. Not only my grandmother and my grandfather, but my mother, my father, and all of us. And then they came one night, they attacked. They came for blood, I can say. And then they took my grandfather, and then, after some days we heard that, he's dead. Because we never even could get a chance of seeing his dead body, you know what I'm saying? So that night, they took my grandfather and beat my grandmother so badly that she lost vision in one of her eyes. Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. That night, I hid under the bed. I remember the sound of my grandmother's cries, and in the morning, I woke up in the hospital, not even knowing how we got there. That was the moment everything changed. My grandmother and I had no choice but to run. So we didn't even know where the rest of the family had gone. We didn't even know if they were alive, dead. We crossed the borders not with mobs, but with fear and death. You know what I'm saying? And the help of the little something from the Good Samaritans we could find on the way. First from the hospital and on our way to nowhere. Eventually we made it to Malawi, the Dzaleka refugee camp, and that's where I reunited with my aunt and her son. And later, miraculously, my parents arrived too. You know what I'm saying? So it felt like broken pieces of a scattered puzzle, slowly fighting each other again. So I didn't like the fear, and I didn't like the way we had to run. And I was quite disappointed after getting to realize that my parents lied to me, saying we're going to a better place, at a better place, when almost everything here is a problem. You see? I felt bad. And right now I'm in Dzaleka refugee camp, Malawi. It's crowded, honestly. When it rains, it leaks. I get more angry but ready to face the reality when I take a look at the way the house I live in looks like in the Google map. I promise you, if you check on the Google, there's no house here. And I'll look at other people's houses. Almost everyone is struggling right here. It's trauma around the camp. I don't like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for resettlement, for answers in this bondage of slavery. Right here in this camp. I've been in this Dzaleka refugee camp for many years, for 11 years up to now, from 2014 up to now. Yeah, and I feel forgotten by the UNHCR because, the resettlement process is not pushing forward like that. I keep on making friends with new people who are coming in my life and get to leave me alone. Because they get resettled to different broad countries like USA, Canada, Australia, and several other countries. Like I had one of my friends whose name is Salvador Kabik. He used to be my poetry partner. We did a lot with him. We taught each other poetry. He was just like my brother, you know what I'm saying? But he left me here, and many others have left me just like him. And right now, we're communicating, of course, but I miss his presence. I wish he were here. So all that creates the trauma, especially comparing, talking about how hard, how tough life is right here. Sometimes I call it a bondage of slavery. There comes a man to save me out of this bondage of slavery. I will call him Dad. My God sent Moses to evacuate me out of Pharaoh's hands. I'm waiting for my Baba's lullabies. That's the poem I just composed yesterday. So talking about how I wish God sends to me Moses to move me out of this land I call the bondage of slavery. This is Egypt, right under the leadership of Pharaoh, while I am suffering, and I'm praying to God that He helps me, or refugees like me, to see the light. Yeah, and to be the who we are. Because right now, I am trying, of course, to be great. I am trying myself to be great, but I'm not that who I'm supposed to be. The who I see in the mirror, the who I imagine I am when I look at myself in the future. Yeah, we will do great things in life, but there's a need of a strategy to get out of here. That's the reality, and we'll never run away from it. So that journey of pain, of escape, of reunion is now, I can say, it's now etched into my story. Not just as a refugee, but as a survivor, as a human being who still has a voice. And this podcast is that voice. I would say I came from zero. Yeah, my journey has been quite tough and quite challenging. But one thing I like from it is it filled me with enough experience to face and overcome the tough moments after. Because the reality is to say I came in Dzaleka refugee camp without any knowledge of English. I couldn't even count in English, and language was the major barrier for me. You know what I'm saying? I began learning at a center called White Future. And there I developed a deep interest in the language through consistent research, and practice over 6 months. I not only earned my English certificate, but also discovered that poetry was the most powerful and expressive way for me to communicate in English. The reality is, inspired by both the language and poetry, I entered a poetry competition right after graduating in 2018. Just after getting my English certificate, I directly joined the competition that was taking place at the moment. Though the journey was challenging and I was eliminated in the first round, it marked the beginning of my path in poetry. What a sad beginning. After being eliminated in the first round of the poetry competition, the 2018, I felt frustrated. You know what I'm saying? But that moment sparked a fire in me. I told myself that one day I would come back stronger. You know what I'm saying? Fueled by this drive, I began looking into who the poets were. You know what I'm saying? Those poets who did beat me in the competition. You know what I'm saying? Those poets that outperformed me. And then I discovered that most of them belonged to a nightclub in the camp called The Branches. I reached out and eventually met the president of the branches, whose name is John Kazadi. He welcomed me into the group, and that's where my real journey with poetry began. Through regular performances, talent shows of now and then, and competitions, I sharpened my craft and even started winning. Slowly. I began to find my voice and confidence. Eventually I decided to step out of the branches, not to cut ties completely, but to test whether I could make it on my own. It's the moment I realized I had the power to stand on my own, to inspire others and to pursue poetry independently. I went on, both attending the meetings of the branches and sometimes doing poetry in the way that I think is better, trying to make myself of a more service to the community, trying to serve the community, like teaching young poets who would like to know how to compose poems, how to recite, like getting that public speaking confidence. And that's how I began inspiring the world through poetry. With a voice that gives me freedom of mind, helps me to release the now and now's trauma that we as youth from Dzaleka refugee camp, including other youth from other refugee camps across the world, face. What I like about now, I like that I can transform pain into something powerful, and I like that I've become a voice for others. I like that in one way or the other, I'm trying to serve the community in the very effective and important way.
I'm tired of writing poems about refugees because this name doesn't want to go. I look at myself in the mirror and see the reflection of my heart running fast. And it keeps on running fast because it's afraid of being the last in the world that fares the fast, or the last, or both. And I doubt if none of that works. Because I was the first, but I'm still considered as the last or a damn forgotten past. Unnoticed, unneeded, and unknown. Enough of that, my heart has failed and now is racing fast. In the clean places and the dust, my heart is fearless of death because nothing will forever last. Now I'm just from a dream and I'm still in the refugee camp and my heart is sad. Where is she, the one I talked to yesterday? And where is he, the man I saw in the morning today? I'm surprised the same today they've been resettled to the USA. And the tears in my eyes, are they tears of joy or sorrows by the way? See, their company I'll miss, and their pictures I will kiss. And when I ask God, where is she, where is he, I'm afraid I will end up asking, where is me? Because I wonder if I'm still dreaming or I'm back to life. Please stab me with a knife if it pains that I'm still alive. And that's to show you I'm afraid of nothing known as death, and I care nothing about life. Because those who meant life to me have gone to the US. I don't know if this is what I pray for, what a painful request. And the milk I'm currently sucking as a bitter test. I wish I sucked your poison breast and get my tongue to rest. I look at my empty hands. Instead of holding familiar ties, I see the faces of friends who left without saying goodbyes. And this neighborhood silence keeps on screaming loud in the midnight. It's like the distance stretching with no bridges to be made. It's like death, but not exactly death. Because the dead people can be forgotten as time goes, but these people remain the place, and we the cursed as time flows. And this depressive moment is transforming us to slaves, hiding the truth during night, and as well remaining quiet in the presence of the light. Until when are we starting the project of making a sound? It's $1 billion project, and from one person's voice there's nothing to be heard. We need to be united like no one's ever seen, like the swarm of the bees, like no one's ever done, to let them know that we're tired of the name refugees. First, because of the place that we at, and secondly, because of the families that have left overseas to USA, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and graveyards and other places. And this is not a poem, but a trauma that walks around in the refugees' heads and locks us all in the cages. Of how it pains to die with your dreams in your pockets. Of how it pains to keep quiet when you're told to tell it. How painful it is to hear that you resettled your heart and your mind in the United States of America 20 years before you died in the resettlement process. And now you feel forgotten, waiting for the UNHCR calls in the real life and dreams. And the trauma takes you up to waiting for the calls in the films. And it pains more when those who have gone come back to your mind in your sleep. I'm tired of writing poems concerning the refugee's life. Because the poets around the world not only talk about sorrows and wars, they get to breathe and relax. And I can't breathe and I ask. I look at the camp's fences. Instead of seeing a home to stay, I see the strangers' faces and we pass each other on the way with no greetings and nothing to say. Because enough of refugees like these have come and gone away. And after all, they've left me alone in the camp to stay. It's like the days blending together in never-ending haze. It's like the hopes dwindling with no light to amaze. I think of the girl I loved, who is now in Australia. She can't pick up my calls and remembers nothing concerning our family plans and the vows we made. I hear the rumors whispering of a life without a choice. It's like the love's lost in translation with no words to express. It's like the heart's beating solo with no rhythm to embrace. It's like the longings aching with no end to distress. And to myself this poem I address, cause enough I face. I look at the unknown future instead of seeing a clear path. I see the shadows of doubt with no direction to grasp. It's like the fear is gripping tight with no escape to be found. It's like the resilience is tested with no strength to be crowned. It's like the survival is uncertain in a world turned upside down. I'm tired of writing poems about refugees' life.
So, the name is Poir. It's not my nickname, no. It's my real name, the one that was given by my parents. And I couldn't pay much attention to this name back then when I was still a kid, or maybe when I was still in my homeland country. Just take it easy, just as other normal names of my friends, my siblings. But I came to realize if this name has a meaning, right? And it is a time that I must use this name as a positive affirmation whenever I want to cheer myself up, right? I want to pack myself with that confidence or with that patience of life, saying things are going to get better at some point in time. That's when I realized that this name is useful. Espoir means hope in English. So I still have the hope to say one day things are going to get better. One day I'll get out of this camp to the United States of America. If I don't go to United States, maybe Canada, Spain, wherever, you know what I'm saying? And feel life and be now the real me, the who I'm supposed to be.
I am Ana Amrain, and this is Dear Friend We Listen, a production by Efecto Colibri, the hummingbird effect in Spanish. You can listen to more regenerative stories at www.efectocolibri.com or write to me at ana@efectocolibri.com. I'll be delighted to chat.